Hi guys, and welcome back to a new video. In today's video, I want to talk about what will be the most profitable playing on a high pop realm, on a medium pop realm, or a low pop realm in Dragonflight. So I'm going to explain basically for each of the main categories of gold making activities, what I think will happen and what are going to be, in my opinion, the best realms to play on. And yeah, just share my thoughts on this topic. Of course, I really want to insist this is only my personal opinion. I'm sure a lot of people, again, are going to disagree with me. And also, it really depends on many different things. So it's not because, for instance, I say something might be better than it will automatically be bad on this other realm. So please keep that in mind. And if, for instance, you were planning to play on one of these high pop or low pop realms, please do so without feeling too much pressured by some of the things I might say in today's video. So let's talk about first gathering. Gathering for a long time was very different whether you were doing it on a low pop realm or a high pop realm. Simply because high pop realms, it was very easy to sell a lot of these materials, but most of the time it was for a cheaper price than on low pop realms. But again, on low pop realms, it was way longer to actually make a lot of sales. So it was very different. But now that there is a region-wide auction house, there is not really going to have any differences whether you are gathering on a low pop realm or on a high pop realm, at least in terms of sales. The only thing that might change a little bit is that on a low pop realm, you will have less competition simply picking up flowers or mining. When, for instance, on a high pop realm, you know you will have a lot of people, and even if you can still mine something that someone just mined or gather the same plant that someone just gathered, there's still gonna be a timer after what, like, these different items are gonna disappear. And so it will still make it more difficult to actually do that on a high pop realm rather than on a low pop realm. So for me, I think in terms of gathering, again, the prices are going to be the same whether you're playing on any different realms, but it's going to be easier to pick up all these different things on a low pop realm. And so for that reason, I think low pop realms are going to be better. Now, let's talk about crafting. Crafting is going to be key in Dragonflight, and this is definitely something that is changing a lot with Dragonflight. So before that, for instance, if we take Shadowlands as an example, it was very easy to have a lot of sales on hyper realms. It was very easy to benefit from cheap materials and to craft a huge quantity of items. What was very good for a lot of people playing on hyper realms was also the possibility to simply craft a bunch of items with these very cheap materials on their main hyper realm, and then to use the different character transfers that you can buy with, like gold, and to use this character transfer to then transfer all these different items on different low pop realms. So like that, people were able to really have the control over many different auction houses across the region. But this is something that was possible as, for instance, legendaries were BoEs and you were actually able to sell them on the auction house. But now that we have the crafting order system, where basically all the different armor pieces and the high quality items that you can craft with the different professions are binds when picked up, and you can only get them through the crafting order system, it will make it way more challenging for people to actually transfer like maybe a character and then answer these different orders on another realm. So my view on crafting is very simple. If you are playing on a hyper realm, you will have a lot of clients, but you will have a lot of competition. There will have many people who will upgrade all the different professions, and also they will have all the people who don't really care about making profit with these different professions. For instance, in Shadowlands, you had a lot of people who upgraded the different legendaries simply because they wanted to get them for themselves or because they wanted to do that for the guilds. But these people were not interested whatsoever in crafting and then posting them on the auction house, especially due to the fact that there was a high competition and you had to undercut all the time. Now, with the crafting order system, a lot of people are still gonna start professions with the same mindset of only using these different items. But it's going to be way more easier for these people to just go in the crafting order system, see like the few public orders that have been posted and just answer these different orders just to make a little bit of money, as now it doesn't really require anything else. The thing is, I think on many realms, that especially high-pop realms, when that will happen, people with even some very, very cheap commission will still get their items. So I think really, unfortunately, on high-pop realms, the competition and also simply the fact that there's going to have a lot of people who will get their rewards for a very cheap commission is going to make the market very tricky. But again, of course, on the customer side, it's going to be really good. You will have access to probably all the different items, and you will be able to negotiate and really have good commissions that are not too expensive. Now, let's talk about low pop realms. So on low pop realms, and we could already see that with Shadowlands, there is usually not that many people who upgrade all the different professions up to the maximum, and who invest that much time in like just making all these different items available for the rest of the people on the realm. So I think there's going to have a huge scarcity in terms of the people crafting all these different items, especially because keep in mind, for instance, if you're deciding to pick up blacksmithing, you will have to specialize yourself in specific items. So it will take a lot of time before a blacksmither will be able to craft all the different items available with blacksmithing at the highest quality. So what I think will happen on low pop realms is simply people will be able to like control a little bit more the markets. The crafters will be able to decide more what should be the commission. They will be able to like control more again specific markets because they won't have a lot of people. And also there's going to have a huge scarcity in terms of like all the different options. So the people who want to get some of these items, the customers, they won't really have a lot of freedom in terms of deciding what commission they want or deciding what, like money they're willing to invest, because unfortunately they will have to like accept at some point the prices set up by the crafters. And unlike Shadowlands, where again, some people from high pop realms were able to craft all these different legendaries and then send them on all these low pop realms, where then the market was a little bit more competitive and the prices were usually going a little bit lower, here it's going to be very difficult for people from other realms to simply transfer their crafter and then do that on this realm. I think it's still something that might happen because I can see, for instance, some people on high pop realms for the first maybe month and a half staying on the high pop realm, answering all the requests here, and once the commissions will be very low, they can simply migrate their character on one realm for 3 days, spam trade chat, say, send me all your different personal orders, I will make all these different weapons for you. Again, as they will have a lot of scarcity, maybe a lot of people will jump on the occasion and pay quite a good price, and then this person might then be able to move to another realm and do that again and again. But it's requiring so much more work, so I don't know if it's really something that will happen. Still, I think low pop realms are going to be way better when it comes to crafting all these different items, and really you will be able to make way more gold if you decide to invest some time in upgrading all these different professions. Also, keep in mind that when it comes to all these other commodities and crafting regions and things like that, these are all region-wide. So you will be able to make the same amount of gold, so it doesn't really impact anything here. The only thing that will really change is going to be crafting all these different BoE items, such as weapons, armor pieces, and things like that. And here, I think low pop realms are going to be way, way better. Now, let's talk about BoE farming. So it hasn't been confirmed whether they will have world BoEs or not. If they won't have any world BoEs, at least it's guaranteed that they will have raid BoEs. These BoEs are going to change a little bit, but I think overall the market is going to remain pretty similar. So I think again, in terms of low pop or high pop realms, definitely at the beginning, high pop realms are going to be way more interesting because it's way easier to sell a lot of items for a pretty good price during the first few weeks. On low pop realms, I think it's always a little bit more challenging, but sometimes you can really have good sales. It just takes more time. What will eventually happen, I'm sure, is that a lot of people from high-pop realms will simply buy a lot of cheap BOEs and then transfer some characters and sell them on low-pop realms. So for this one, I think it's very like mitigated. I would say you can really make a fortune whether you're playing on a high-pop realm or on a low-pop realm. It really depends. So for this one, I think they won't really have a lot of changes, and it remains something that will be good on both realms. And then we have finally all the different cosmetic items and transmog items. So with Dragonflight, Blizzard is including a lot of new BoE cosmetic items. I think these items are going to be way more interesting on low pop realms because unfortunately, as we have seen with, for instance, all the different weapons from Zereth Mortis or from like other places from Shadowlands, on high pop realms, very, very fast, these different weapons like are worth nothing. But on low pop realms, it can still be very easily adjustable. You can buy all the stock if really the prices are low. You can repost everything. So it's way easier to make some gold with these different items. So I think really, in my opinion, for all these different transmog and cosmetic items that Blizzard is going to introduce into the game with Dragonflight, it's going to be probably like better for some time on low pop realms simply because the prices won't crash as fast as on high pop realms. And again, you will, even if it's a little bit slower, have better sales. But again, it's really just my personal opinion on that one. I know that also on many high pop realms, there are so many people buying all these different items that sometimes you can really make a lot of gold very quickly by, just selling all these different cosmetics and transmogs. But in the long run, I think really it's going to be just way better to do it on a low pop realm. So that's gonna be pretty much it. I think if I really like just try to have a conclusion to all these different things, in my opinion, low pop realms are gonna be way more lucrative than high pop realms for all the different reasons I mentioned, but especially again because of the fact that with the crafting order system, you will be able to control the market and have really good profits when you will be crafting all these items on the low pop realm. And on the high pop realm, I don't think it's going to be as profitable for the crafters or as interesting. This is again something that we will have to wait and see when Dragonflight will launch. Probably we'll have to wait a little bit before seeing really what are the concrete changes for the different markets, if high pop realms are better or low pop realms are better or not. Right now, this is what I think will happen, but I might completely be wrong. So that's going to be pretty much it for today's video. Please let me know in the comments what you personally think will happen, what you're planning to do, if you're planning to play on a low pop realm, on a high pop realm, and what you're planning to do in terms of gold making activities. I will be back very soon with more guides and more videos. And in the meantime, I wish you all a great start of the weekend. Bye!